All right, so let's start this broadcast with some breaking news that's come in from West Africa, where after decades of military boots on African soil, the tricolour flag has finally lowered in Senegal for the French Republic. Now, France, once the unquestioned power in West Africa, has now been pushed out base after base, nation after nation in West and Central Africa. The last two French military outposts in Senegal have been formally returned to Dakar, marking the end of a 65-year-long deployment. Now, these are the images of the handover ceremony in Senegal's capital city, Dakar. It is a pretty dramatic close to a chapter that began with colonial conquest and continued through counter-terrorism cooperation, training missions and strategic defense agreements. Now, France once commanded vast swathes of the Sahel region, including nations of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, in its self-styled role as the guardian of stability. But that colonial legacy is crumbling. The French troops withdrew from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger in 2022 and 23 after the military juntas in these countries severed their defense agreements with the former colonial ruler. The rising anti-French sentiment, fueled by accusations of neo-colonialism and failed counter-insurgency efforts, has forced Paris into a retreat. There's also a pivot towards alternative allies like Russia by these West African nations. Now, France, historically a key military actor in safeguarding regional stability, had for decades maintained a significant counter-terror presence, often spearheading operations against extremist groups. A bitter France's President Emmanuel Macron had earlier said that he's still waiting for Africa's Sahel states to thank Paris for stopping them from falling into the hands of militants. This is, of course, the French expectation. So as France hands over final bases to Senegal, our correspondent Louisa Olani has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Lagos in Nigeria. Listen in.
Thursday's France official handover of its last military bases in Senegal marks the end of a 65-year troop presence. This move follows President Faye's call to close all foreign bases, emphasizing Senegal's sovereignty. Around 350 French soldiers who have been at training alongside Senegalese forces will leave after a 3-month transition. Local sentiment, as seen on platforms like X, celebrates this as a historic move towards total independence, with some calling it a rejection of colonial legacies. This follows similar French withdrawals from Mali, Niger and Chad, leaving Djibouti as France's only permanent African base. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olani, WION, World is One.